Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist, and welcome to another episode of We Are Ready. We are ready, where we focus on staying ready so we don't have to get ready. Many of the things that we focus on deal with survival, uh, making sure we, our families, and our communities are safe. So a lot of times we put ourselves in positions where we're thinking about those things that we don't think about until this a hard time, whether it be a pandemic, or pandemonium. I want to encourage everybody to like, share, subscribe, be ready to comment, and hit the notification button over here at Square Mile Media Atlanta, so you'll get notifications of when we go on the air, when we live. A lot of great information over here. We have all our shows archived right over here on that YouTube channel, Square Mile Media Atlanta. Tonight, we're going to be talking about uh, another part of staying ready. We can prepare for the doom and gloom. We can talk about all the big things that are going down. But one of the big things that happens right here in America and a part of the American dream is home ownership. Home ownership. And tonight we're going to be sharing some stuff about why, who, when, and any of us should get a piece of the pie. Also, before I forget, I want to make sure that everybody make sure that you are registered to vote by October the 11th. I think that's Tuesday. That's it. You won't have a voice in the upcoming elections in November. And you know what we say over here: buy, lease, rent, or own a politician. Buy, lease, rent, or be prepared to own a politician through your efforts, not just your vote, not just following up, but your money. Anytime you put economic presence in front of a politician, they represent the people that's got some degree of money to influence them. But tonight we're going to be focused on home ownership. Home ownership. As people join us over here, and I see some people in the chat, uh, make sure that you like, share, and come on over to our Square Mile Media Atlanta page. I know a couple people texting me, "Hey, there, Mr. Bernard Armstrong." But welcome to tonight's show. I'll be joined by the Davis family, and the Davis family is really pursuing the American dream. They're going in there and looking for ownership and assets. So everybody that's on my Facebook page, please come over, because I'll be coming off of this platform, and we'll go directly to our Square Mile Media Atlanta. But good evening. What's up there, Mrs. and Mrs. Davis? How y'all doing?
What's going on, sir? How are you?
The whole Davis family. What's up there? How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good.
How you doing?
I see that shirt. Assets, ownership, and assets. Wow.
Assets
Yeah. Okay.
Always.
I know y'all looking enthusiastic and fired up. Ain't nothing no better than when we talk about ownership, and especially home ownership. I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves a little bit before we get into anything. You've been here before, but for the audience that hadn't got a chance to know who the Davis family is and what moved and motivated you all to get into the real estate industry, just get in there and just let us know what moved and motivated the family to do this.
Well, my name is Danielle Davis. I am the broker of Davis and Davis Real Estate. What motivated me pretty much was just the fact that renting is just pretty much giving money away. We would like to always focus on ownership and having the ability to, make our own decisions, number one, and just another avenue to financial freedom. Rent prices are expensive, and I don't foresee them coming down. And it's just, home ownership is just another avenue that leads us to, generational wealth, being able to pass things down to our children, grandchildren, and then just giving us the opportunity to leverage and make our own decisions.
My name is Marty Davis, and I agree 1,000% with what my wife said. Ownership is the only way that you control your future, making moves in your life. That's just it. You got to own to have a say so in what goes on in this world and the way your life goes. So try to own from the front to the back.
I like that.
Yeah, my name is Aaron Davis. I'm a realtor with Davis Real Estate. And basically the same thing that both of them said, ownership, and owning your own home is probably the best way to get started in real estate. So yeah, we're all about ownership, financial freedom, and nobody telling us what we can do with our own homes. So that's probably the biggest thing, is having financial freedom and having a say so with our own home.
Okay. And I know you guys are saying the why. That's good. But who should be buying a house?
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
Okay.
And we understand that, there's levels to it, and it's not something that you're always able to do immediately. But I feel like everyone should at least be in the planning phase. That means working on your credit, saving up money for down payment, closing costs, and wherever that may be. It doesn't necessarily have to be here in Georgia or Atlanta area. That can be pricey, and as we see, prices are continuing to go up. But wherever you are, just always make that a goal to own a home one day, and you just start there.
Wow. So we got to agree, home ownership, and it's anybody can do it. I know sometimes people say, well, I don't know what it's going to take. I don't want that responsibility. But especially now in this economy, I've had many people that told me the rent went up. The landlord wanted extremes of $100 or $200 extra a month. And then that put people in a very compromised position because the income did not go up. But if they had at least a financial stake in ownership, they probably would be in a better position. So when people ask the question, we say, when should they buy? Because I had a guy. He said there was a gentleman that stayed in his dad's home, and the whole time he was there, he never asked or thought about buying the house. And the guy, when he came down after his father passed, they just sold the house. And he got a little upset because he was like, you guys sold the house from in front of me, from under me. And the new landlord said he was just going to do something else with the property. Well, the whole time that guy was there, he could have been in position to at least ask for rent to own or some type of lease purchase, but he never thought that he could afford to buy the house.
And I think that's one of the bigger myths out there, that you just can't afford it or just it's not attainable. And that's not true. Everyone's financial situation is different, but you just start where you can. And again, just make that your goal, just like you do anything else. Start where you can, and we've said this a million times, Drummer. It doesn't have to be your dream home, but start somewhere to get you out of the rental rat race, where you have some control. We've talked about, maybe multiple generations living under one roof to save money so that they can all purchase one day. There's several different ways to go about it, but you just have to start somewhere.
Okay. Can you share with us, when you say the multi-generational, where you got families in a home? Because sometimes people see, they say, well, I can't get along with my family. We just don't kick it off that well. But that's another possibility to be in there with a family and then have a game plan for everybody within that home to eventually purchase a home. I mean, what does it take? I mean, to do that, can multiple people be on one mortgage, or do they have to be married, or what?
Yeah, you can have multiple people on one mortgage. And honestly, if you can't do it alone, that might be the next best option to do is, get a couple of family members that you're close with and that you feel comfortable with going into business with, and then apply for a loan and try to buy some property. And even if all of you guys don't live in it, if one of you guys are living in it, that's fine. That's your primary home. And then eventually, if you ever want to sell that property and the value goes up on that property, now you all have an asset and you can capitalize on it and share, proceeds from that sale. Because it comes down to you have to live in a place anyways. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So if you have to live in a home anyways, like why pay rent when you can have the option of owning your home? And like my mom said, like even if you can't buy a home right now, you're planning on buying a home and owning a home. I know that there's like this misconception that there's going to be a lot of expenses with owning a home, and that's not necessarily true. Like there's not going to be a ton of major expenses going on with your home, as long as you do your due diligence up front. You make sure you get an inspection done, and just make sure you take care of the things beforehand. But even if there is some expenses, it beats paying rent, and you never get that money back. So that's where I stand on it. Like I'm all for home ownership. If you can find a way to get into a home and own it, then you should try to do it like ASAP.
And I know a lot of people are like, man, this is a jacked up economy. We're about to go into an election year. We almost towards the end of the year. 2023, people unsure of things. Gas prices going up, and we talk about that all the time, Marty. People talking about, man, this is the worst time to do anything. All I can do is just survive. But how important is it to seize the opportunity right now?
No time like the present. I mean, because tomorrow, you don't know what tomorrow is. All you got is today. So look at the price of a hamburger. Is that the same price as it was last week, last month? So everything's rising. So now's the time to get in. Today's the day. No time like the present. Always.
And then I'll add, when we first did, I think we did the first call with you, Drummer, and you had us on your show. I think the rates was probably around like 3%, maybe 3.5%.
Yeah.
The mortgage rate.
Mm-hmm.
Asked us that same question, like when is it a good time to buy? And we said right now. And now you look at the mortgage rates. The mortgage rates is double that. Like the mortgage rates are about 6.5 to 7%.
Mm-hmm.
So
and rising.
if you would have took that step, a couple months ago and bought a home, like you would have been in a way better position. But even right now, with the rates being up, like you can still buy a home and get a good deal because a lot of sellers they aren't able to sell their homes right now because buyers like they don't want to touch these homes because of the mortgage rate. So that gives you as a buyer some leverage because one, they want to get these homes so fast, so they're motivated. But maybe you can get that price down a little bit, or you can get some closing costs from the seller as well because they're very motivated to sell. And then once you get to the home, then a couple of years from now, rates go back down. Then you just refinance and you get a lower rate and you have a lower mortgage payment. So when you ask us when is the right time to buy, it's right now. Like always, it's always the right time to buy. Like right now.
Yep. Believe it or not, I don't care what the news said.
Okay.
They lying.
And again, you can afford it.
Rent prices are going up as well. So as a landlord, you don't want to just raise the price just because you want to raise the price. But the taxes are increasing. The expenses that comes with fixing the property it increases because contractors are asking for more money to fix like small problems. So now you have to pass that charge off to the tenant. So regardless of the tenant or whatever, like the prices are going to go up, and the landlord is going to make the prices go up as well because they have overhead to take care of.
Yep.
So So it's just gonna keep going up. And you know, one of the things, and I've seen this, and I know we you know, touching a little bit on the introduction level of home ownership, but there, you know, like you always say, Marty, there's levels to all of this.
Yeah,
You know, you just don't have
definitely.
to buy one house.
Right, right.
You
Exactly.
know, there are people like yourselves that have multiple properties. You know, you just don't call it a house no more. You know, you can
Yeah,
have commercial property, duplexes, uh,
yeah,
well, how, you know, how easy is it? And then that produces income. How easy or how difficult is it to get into the like multiple family dwellings where you start to make some money on your real estate investment?
Well, it starts with one property, Drummer. You start with one, and that can be your own property. Like you can start there. We mentioned this last time we were on as well, just house hacking, which just means you have different people living with you. I mean, it could be family members, close friends. You rent out your room, or one of the bedrooms. You rent out the basement. You're getting your mortgage paid for that way. So it's just starting with at least one property. You have to own to even get in the game. So it's just starting with that one property and build from there. You'd be surprised at the leverage you can obtain by having one property. When I say leverage, I mean there's so many different ways. Like that, for instance, the one example I just gave. But then also you have equity in your property. You can pull out cash when you own your property. There's several different ways to go about it, but you have to start with at least one.
Mm. Well, you said an interesting thing because when there are people that have even paid their mortgage off quicker by having other people in the house to, you know, you don't
absolutely.
have to wait 30 years, 15
Nope,
years, or 10 years.
nope.
uh you know, can you guys go into a little detail on that?
Sure.
Good.
I mean,
um, Again, it's just, and I understand, like you mentioned before, some people, may not be as close with their family members or feel like they can't live with their family members. It's going to take some coming out of your comfort zone and some sacrifice to get there.
mm,
And it's temporary. That's how you have to look at it. It's temporary. It's not something long term. You have a goal and you stick to it until you attain that goal. So it's only temporary. You may not want a roommate. You may not want people living with you, but most times we're working anyway. We are
okay.
even at home. So and nowadays you almost have to work 2 or 3 jobs to stay afloat. So
Mm,
we're hardly even home. So why not have someone in here, or you renting out a room to someone and getting your mortgage paid for, and maybe even more to save, and then having your mortgage come down, where you in a few years, 10, 20 years, or 15, however long it takes you own that property free and clear. Now that's
mm,
all cash flow coming in. That
mm.
now you have money to go out and buy a second property. So it's just so many ways to leverage it once you own.
You said an important word, cash flow.
Yeah.
uh and I think that's what everybody's looking for, you know, to get this debt or this monkey off our back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you got to make your money work, and if you got a house, you can make that house work and
Yep.
go generate some money. In that cash flow, you know, like you said, Marty, a lot of times when the first of the month comes, you're not like somebody that's got to pay out a lot of money. At least you got some money coming in.
Yeah, so it's a good feeling, let me tell you. So
Mm,
I don't. I beg that people just at least try to own one. You don't have to do what we do as a family. Just try to own one. It changes your life in so many ways. It gives you a whole different perspective on things. You're not living in fear. That's what I want to take away. That people, I know they're scared. They, fear the unknown. But it's not. It's not nearly what you think it is. It's not
mm,
hard. Just take that first step. That's why I'll just ask people to do. Just take that first step. It's so much. It's so much better. It's so much better on this side of things, and I being in control than to wonder what if, or what thinking, well, what are they going to do to change my situation? You know what I'm saying? I'm in control. I know
mm,
what my rents are. I know what my bills are. I know when the money's coming in. When it's going out. That's a whole different mindset. You feel
mm.
free. Seriously. it's just I just ask that people would just at least try. You know, especially us as Black people. I know we've been kept from that. I said, think about this. Why they always never wanted us to own? Because they know what it is to own. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's that simple. They never wanted us to own, redlined us, do all these different things. You can't own in these certain neighborhoods because they realize the financial opportunity that's in it. You know, so now we don't have those roadblocks. It's simple. You just start with one, take the first step, and I promise you, it's almost addicting. Once you get the taste of it, you realize, okay, this is what I should have been doing from day one. You know, so.
And then even with you, like, let's say, for example, during the height of the pandemic, when COVID first started, and a lot of people were getting laid off, like, you had to find a way to pay your rent. If you didn't pay your rent, and your landlord was going to file an eviction. But if you owned your home and you get laid off, you could have worked something out with your mortgage company to where you could defer your rent payments and put it on the back end and still live in your home. So that's the type of leverage that you have with home ownership, because most landlords, they aren't going to allow you to live in a home rent free until you get things figured out, because they just don't have enough capital to allow that to happen. But a mortgage company who has millions and millions of dollars in capital, they'll work something out with you to where you can live in your home. And once you get a job, then you can start back paying your mortgage again. So that's another thing that you have with owning your home.
Wow.
Got options. You get options. A lot of them. You get a lot of them.
And you know, I think you know, by experiencing this part of the American dream, you know, we talk about voting, but home ownership is right up there with voting.
Exactly.
Because you know, you definitely want a politician in your pocket, in control, when you start owning some property. Things don't look the same. You know, most people say, I don't know what politicians doing. Well, when you have to, you know, see certain things that happen, you'll be concerned about the schools around your property. You'll be more concerned about development around your property, and development can be good. You can say, well, you know, this big place is coming in. That means that the property value about to go up. You might want to sell, or you might want to rent it out. And or a lot of people are doing the Airbnb. I just had a couple. They had two properties, and they rented both of them out and bought a Winnebago. You know, and they traveling around the country, you know, like it ain't nothing, because the rent coming in, and then you know, the guy said, well, you know, I can go to my bank. I don't have to be in Mississippi to get my money. I just drive across the country, and all that's from home ownership. You know, they get into. He said, I'm gonna hit the lower half of the United States and then come back and get the top half later. And all of that's through other people, you know, leveraging property. So there's a lot of options.
There's a lot of options.
And it just starts with one property, just one.
Wow. It's like a domino effect.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
The whole world opens up to you once you get on this side of things. It really does. You see things differently. It gives you options. It gives you so many options that you didn't even know you had a choice in. Whereas if you rent, all you know is to pay me on the first. That's all you know.
Okay.
And if I want to raise the rent on you, you're gonna pay it, or you're gonna get out and I'll find someone else that will.
You paying all the taxes. Ain't no options. You paying all this. So
you have to consider that. And don't get me wrong, like I only speak to those that want to own. You know, there's some people that are, you know, content with renting, and that's perfectly fine. But
I'll say why. I say
why too, but I won't have that argument with them. So it's for those that are really honestly trying to find a way to own, those are the people that I want to speak with. Those are the people that I'm trying to target, just to educate them and provide as much knowledge as I can. Because that's the biggest piece that's missing. Like they just don't know what they don't know. They just assume it's not possible for them.
Black. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't even know you don't know.
Yeah.
That's it. called triple black.
Mm.
Even with one property, that one property can be a bank for you. So
Yes.
let's say, for example, let's just talk about Atlanta's market. Atlanta market, pretty much every major county around Atlanta has been appreciating over the last few years or so. So if you own one property, you buy it for $200,000 back in 2020, that same property might be worth $300,000 right now. So let's say you buy another property, but you don't have any money. Now you can just do a cash out refi, or you can do a home equity line of credit, and you can pull that extra $100,000 out, and you can apply that towards another property. And you can keep doing that. You can just keep doing the same thing, taking the equity out of your current home and applying it towards the next property. So that's why when you say just one property, like that's really all that it takes is one home.
That's
one
it.
home can change everything.
Wow.
Just one.
And you all had talked about some assistance that would be available for people, whether it's first time homeowners, money where they can, where people, can get help towards finances. I know a lot of times we see these no money down, low money down, or, all types of incentives and motivators. What are some of those programs out there for people?
First time home buyers.
Yeah, I would say starting off, I know Georgia Dream, they had a program where they were covering all of your down payment and some of your closing costs. And then there's other programs. We'll have to look into those for you, because once COVID started, a lot of those programs was done. Like they paused giving out funds for down payment assistance. But now they're starting to open back up. So it's just a matter of finding the ones that's active and just sharing that information with everyone. But they're out there for sure.
Oh, and one of the things we look at home ownership. We had looked, sometimes we say, well, how can we catch up as a people, especially as Black and brown people? But one of the ways to catch up and maintain some degree of generational wealth is through home ownership. And I know you guys stress ownership, maybe, because you pretty much could employ the whole family. Yeah. I mean, y'all, you want to go into some details like that? Things that you can do, whether it's, I know people have family members taking care of the maintenance, cutting the grass, even if they're not wanting to, be selling a house, they can do other things. Or in a case of apartment complex, there was about 15 family members came together and bought an apartment complex.
Yes.
And they in there doing everything, cutting the grass, doing the plumbing. Yeah, I'm like, whoa.
That's exactly how you do it.
Yep.
Property preservation.
The number one thing is probably just getting educated. A lot of our people, it seems like we're afraid to open up books and read. And there's so much information in books that we just never even realize because we don't even take the time to read. So just being educated and eliminating some of the distractions that stops us from being educated. The library is free. Barnes and Noble is free. And you have hundreds of
YouTube is free.
Real estate investing. YouTube is free. Like you have so many books.
Yeah, there's no reason.
Or just any type of business that people who have been super wealthy, they just poured into these books. They gave so much information in these books, and all it really takes is for you to just open it up and read it. And that's probably the number one thing, even before home ownership. I'm saying just being self-educated.
Yeah.
And I know there's a massive inventory of property. You have anything from houses that are already built to people building houses, from scratch. But then there are also a lot of foreclosures and estate sales and tax liens. So can you guys, I don't know if you guys are involved in that directly, but I know people are going into homes from that route, getting properties that need rehabilitation, foreclosures, state properties and things of that nature. So that's another form of inventory of homes. Can you share some information with the audience about that?
Yeah, so foreclosures, those are always out there, fortunately and unfortunately, but those are always out there. A lot of times they typically want cash. You may find some banks that will allow financing for those. But even for just the properties that need work, those obviously you're going to get at a less cost, but they require a lot of work. But again, you own it. So I wouldn't shy away from the properties that need work. I would probably target those if you don't have the finances to purchase something like your dream home, or, if you have the opportunity to purchase a tax lien or a foreclosed property that's going to need a lot of work. Like you were saying before, you may have family members that can do a lot of that work for you, to cut back on some of the costs. Tax liens, we haven't tapped into that yet personally, but we will. That's just another stream of income. You pretty much it's an unfortunate situation. Homeowners have gotten behind on their taxes. Now there's a lien on their property. We come in, purchase the tax lien, pay their taxes, get them caught up, and it will pay their taxes. And if they don't continue to pay their taxes or get caught up on their end, at some point in time, we could own that property. At a very, very low cost, just purchasing the tax lien. So we haven't touched on that yet, but we do plan to do that in the future. But that's just another option as well.
Wow. And I had a question out there. Was how did you get into real estate, and do you recommend any books or YouTube channels?
The top two books that I would probably recommend, well, I would say one for specifically for real estate, I would say Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's basically targeting real estate investing, more so like just home ownership is targeting like investing in real estate. And then as far as like YouTube channels, I would say Bigger Pockets is probably one of the best YouTube channels for real estate investing, mainly because you have like everyday people just like us who's investing into real estate. So these aren't like people with millions of dollars investing in real estate. These are people with jobs and that's investing on the side, like and that's building wealth on the side. So it's just your everyday people that's investing in real estate, and they come and tell their stories on that YouTube channel. So I would definitely check out Bigger Pockets. You'll see some phenomenal stories over there. It'll motivate you to want to get started.
Wow.
For sure. Definitely.
And Marty, I got to see what your search said. I see it said assets over liability. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Assets over liability.
And how important are assets, especially in an economy or uncertain economy. And I know sometimes people say, well, there's a lot of doom and gloom. We got a lot of uncertainties. We hear a lot of whining, moaning, and crying. I don't know who the governor gonna be. I don't know who the next president gonna be. I don't know is Warnock and Herschel Walker. People ask all these things, and then it scare them. I don't know what the war in Ukraine gonna look like. These folks coming over here ready to buy some houses.
Well, Drummer, all that is great. But my answer to that is it doesn't matter who it is. You still have to have somewhere to live. They're not going to pay your rent. They're not going to pay your mortgage. You still have a job to get up and go to every day. It's okay to vote. I'm not saying not to vote, but you can't allow it to control your life. Like you are in control of your life. Every single day you wake up, you're in control of your life, no matter who is in there. It doesn't matter. You still have to have your own goals in mind. And yeah, they have certain things they can put in place to maybe slow it down or help speed it up or, add value to what you already have in place. But you need to be setting your own goals. And then that's just adding to it. Like you can't just be solely dependent on who's in office. They're not coming to save us. That's what we need to remember. They're not coming to save us. It doesn't matter who it is. We have to get up every single day, go to work. We have to pay our bills, and that's not changing. And we don't know when we're going to check out of here. So we have to have a sense of urgency every day. We don't know when we're going to check out. So we need to act as such every single day. If we wake up in the morning, we need to be happy we woke up in the morning and get to it, no matter who's in office.
I can honestly tell you, it's been, since we started, it's been what, 3-4 different presidents. And never once did I think about who was in office while I was making, we were making our next move as far as a business, as a family. You never think you got to take care of you, and then once that starts, you realize you'll block out the news, everything, and you'll realize it's about you and yours and taking care of your business. And the rest will just be added, you know what I mean? But you won't even think about governors, presidents, mayors, none of that. I don't think about that. Like, okay, should I make this move because somebody about to be in or out of office? None of that. That block out the noise. That has absolutely nothing to do with us. It really doesn't. Like she said, it may add or take away some shape or form. But honestly, if you're handling your business, it really don't affect us. Honestly, by getting these assets, we're getting more tax breaks. So if anything, it is helping us. The more we are obtaining with assets, we're getting more tax breaks. Is to be honest about it. And then you look at the whole system totally different because you realize how the game's played. That's it. That's all. It ain't rocket science.
And we have to be careful to not live every day in fear. Like, I know that, the world is crazy. We see that things are happening every day. But we have to remain faithful and continue to get up every single day and be grateful that we're still here to see another day and move accordingly. I mean, living in fear, it's not going to change anything. Like you were saying, the whine and the crying, that's not going to change your circumstances. Like, I'm not saying not to cry. Like, we all have our moments, but we have to snap out of it and get back to it.
And then I like find a way with like just being uncertain, like being in a time where things are uncertain. Like, we've never been in a time when things weren't uncertain.
Right.
Like, we've always been going through something as a country, as a nation, whatever the case may be. We've always been going through something.
Yeah.
And if that's what's holding you back, then that should be the same thing that's motivating you, because we are in uncertain times.
Exactly.
And if COVID taught us one thing, is that we need to prepare ourselves in case something like that happens again. Like, if you don't learn from COVID, like you don't learn from the last 2 years, then nothing's ever going to teach you. Like, last 2 years didn't teach you to be for self-preservation, self-development, take care of you and your own, then nothing's going to help you out.
And you guys bring up COVID. It reminds me of a family. We were doing the whole time of COVID. We were doing. I think we called it It's Cap Time, Corona Action Preparation and Training. And there was a family, and when COVID first came out, I think the son was renting somewhere. He was paying about $1,200 a month. The daughter, she was living off campus. She was paying about $1,200 a month. The husband and wife, they were paying about $1,500 a month. And then their mother-in-law was paying about $1,500 a month for rent. But when COVID happened, they were forced to have to live together. And when they all moved into that one dwelling, and within 6 months, they had bought some property, and they started thinking like you guys. They said, you know what? We went from throwing away about $6-7 grand a month. They've been doing this for the last maybe 15 years. And then they were able to come together as a family, and for 6 months they just tightened that money up. And everybody stayed pumped up, and they say, you know what, COVID taught them to get outside of Atlanta where they could grow some crops and not be under the same guidelines and restrictions and this type of stuff. And as property owners, they said, well, we're going to just buy, and they bought their property they bought out there in Ackworth was far less than what they was paying for one. I think they was paying $1,500. They went out there, they was paying about $700, sitting on about an acre and a half. So they like, man, I ain't never coming back to the city.
Exactly.
Living with the family members isn't that bad after all.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I tell people all the time too when they're paying rent. I said, you ain't got to tell me what you pay. I said, just do the math on what your rent is. You know what it is, and just add that up. That's how much money you're literally giving away that you cannot get back. Do the math on what if it's $1,500 a month, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. Do the math on that. Think about how much money you're literally giving someone else's family every month. Every month, do the math. Don't tell me you do the math and sit and think about that and know that this could be going to you and you're paying yourself. When you're paying your mortgage, you're paying. I don't care if it's taxes involved and all that. You're paying yourself. You know, people don't realize that. So,
and you know, the more options and assets that you have, you can always leverage that. Because even if times did get bad, you can always sell your property. But if you don't have nothing to sell, you know, you still up the creek. If you don't have nothing, you know. But ownership is extremely powerful. I thought about another book from it's called Powernomics from Dr. Claude Anderson, and one of the things he does talk about is economic power. And I know we got a couple people I see you in there, Charles, got some stuff in there about the index, and there's a lot of options for us. But one of the things that he does recommend is building some economics.
That's it. That's the only thing that's going to give you some movement. Like
that's leverage.
If I don't have $1, I can't buy a sneaker. You know, I can't do nothing. You gotta have ownership is the key. I don't care what you own. You got ownership is the key. Then once you get on that side of it, then we can grow and expand. Just get in. That's all I'm saying. Get in the game, and then we can make moves from there. You know, you ain't got to be doing nothing ginormous or nothing crazy, but just get in, and then it gives you your mindset will change, and you'll see things from a different perspective. You know, I couldn't tell you about ownership if I didn't own. I don't know what that's like. But now that I'm over here, I can tell you. You come on. This is where you want to be. I promise you, this is where you want to be. It's better than I've been on rent and I've been on ownership. Ownership, hands down. It's not even close. There's nothing, no advantage to renting that I can see between ownership and rent. None. None. So the sooner you can get over there, the better.
Well, in a case where, say, if you had a big company and they was paying your rent, you know,
if somebody
that's you know, you like, man, you don't care if it's 2,500, $3,000. The company's they ponying up the money, they doing the check. You just like a student back in the day living with your parents. But that ain't the case for everybody. Everybody don't have a big daddy or a big zaddy to come out there and say, you know, I'm gonna take care of that. You know, I'm gonna just put you up right here. Don't worry about nothing. You know, that ain't the American. That might be a dream.
And even if they do, you still need to be out there buying your own.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But guess what's gonna happen? When they get mad, they stop paying.
Whoa, yes.
You always want to
company. If you work for a company that's gonna, you know, pay for your rent, then that means you probably a pretty good employee and you have some leverage and negotiating power with that company. So if you buy a home, they'll probably still give you a stipend to pay for that rent, and you can apply that towards your mortgage. So there's always a way around things. So you can use that to your advantage.
Yeah. Telling you.
You know, that you can best assure yourself, and I say this to a lot of the families that's coming from other countries. I just use the Ukraine. Even though they might be getting government assistance to be put up in a hotel or something like that, most of those folk, if they own a home over there or some property, the first thing they're trying to get when they get to America is a home or some property. I mean, you know, they're not bringing the folk, you know, the folk over there that ain't got no homes or property, they fighting. But the folk, you know, they say, you know what, they about to break out a war over here. I'm gonna sell my assets. I'm coming to America. They ain't bringing a bunch of poor, you know, they might look like they decrepit, but when they get over here, trust me, those folks know about business. You look up and you say, man, wow, they done took over the neighborhood within the next 2 to 5 years. Detroit, Atlanta, all these places that the bottom fell out, those folks gonna come right in there and own and buy some property, and they're gonna be asking you what you doing hanging out on the block.
Yeah. They say we're spoiled. They say we're spoiled over here in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know how good we have it.
Mm.
Yeah, I see somebody. You can make TV, so I think that's key. A mindset change. My
Absolutely.
generation was taught to buy a house to live in and not to see it as an asset. And a lot of people, that was their thing. They bought a house just to stay in it, and they didn't see it as an opportunity to generate some money. You know, a lot of
Man.
people, they never pull out any equity in their home. I don't think, you know, like refinancing and things of that nature. Maybe they didn't know about them. In my grandparents' day, they might have did it maybe, but you know, a lot of other homeowners, they'll refinance a house and put the kids through college and buy all the stuff from the money that they pulled out of the home.
Yeah.
So home ownership, like insurance, is a key. Instead of going to the bank and hoping you can borrow some money from them, you sitting on money. So maybe maybe you guys can really break down the asset power of a home. Because sometimes people say, well, my home, it's only worth about 100,000, and I still owe 30 on it. But when these new things come to town and that property value go up,
you're your own
you
bank.
might want to, you might want to put a trailer in the backyard and rent it out.
I'm telling you.
And I think the difference is, Drummer, the generations, like education from the time, like you said, our parents were growing up, they just didn't have that. Now it's night and day. Like it's out here everywhere you turn on the TV, your phones, like it's generational wealth, and it's the education is staring us in the face every day. So it's a totally different environment and world than it was back then. So now everyone is talking about it, generational wealth and home ownership and the importance of it. So it's not, it's not unattainable. It is. And I think everyone needs to realize that it's not what it used to be decades ago. It's totally different. We own quite a bit. And we are understanding that that's all out there for all of us.
And it all started with one.
Wow.
I'll tell you how we even started, John. We moved from our townhome to an apartment next door and started renting that out. Started renting the townhome out, and then we just went from there. Moved out. Sometimes you gotta take a step back to get a running start. Whatever it takes, whatever it is, start where you are with what you got. It ain't got to be nothing crazy, ginormous. We literally moved from the townhome and moved into an apartment and started from there, and that was it. The rest is history. Glad it's the best thing we did. I ain't look back since. Now we licensed and just got licensed in the state of Illinois. Tell them, go, quit being modest. Go on,
go tell them.
Oh, before you get into that, I got my start by moving into the apartment with them as well.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Drummer. A two bedroom apartment with 4 people.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
2 adults, 2 kids.
That's how it all started. Circled the
Whoa.
wagons like that, and then came out on fire, and that's it. It ain't
about house hacking. We are living proof of house hacking.
Yeah. I'm not telling you.
I saved
not
up
telling you nothing we ain't done. I've seen. Yeah.
And y'all call it house hacking.
That's
I
it.
like that.
House hacking to the full.
Yeah.
The house hacking to the full.
Didn't even know we were house hacking. We just had
Right.
goals.
Didn't even know what it was called. Yeah. Didn't even know what it was called. We just knew we had to make a change and what we wanted.
Right.
And so that was it. Then nobody come give us nothing. All the information we learned, we just got in the books, got on YouTube, and that was it. Now we a brokerage. My wife, like I said, we licensed in multiple states now, state of Illinois, state of Georgia, and more to come. Aaron's doing his thing. Ariel's on her way. She just don't know it yet.
So that's another one. Oh, y'all. Okay, man. That's why I say this thing's got levels to it. And we got a lot of activity out there. Y'all in the chat. How we do this thing is so much. You don't have to let the doom and gloom. yeah,
Man.
we talk about different things. You know, we get prepped and prepared. But one of the things is just say the doom and gloom don't happen,
Right.
and
Exactly.
you scared yourself
Yeah.
out of moving forward. And
Hmm.
the way this country is moving, and so many people coming here, like I say, those folk coming from other countries, they're gonna be on the come up.
Man.
Absolutely.
Go, brother.
They already
Man.
Oh yeah, yeah,
we need
they
to
on the
hurry
come
up
up.
before they take
Man,
it.
listen.
Cause they
I'm
gonna
trying to
take,
get
and
a few
then
more.
next thing you know, they gonna be your landlord,
Yeah, that's
and
it.
they don't even have to speak English. All they gonna do is show you the bill.
That's
And-
all.
and-
You hit it on the
That's
head.
funny because it's already happening. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
already
Whoa.
sitting here.
I'm telling you, it's already happening. It's already
The
happening.
immigrants from other countries, they've been owning real estate in the
Yeah.
United States.
Mm,
Yeah.
They're just catching up, really. Like they've been doing that. So they
Mhm.
wow.
here, 30, 40 years ago, and that was their mindset to own property. And now a lot of them are retiring and they're selling off these properties and they're
Yeah.
cashing out. And that's how they're going to
Wow.
live their retirement.
Man.
Mhm.
And you know, in many neighborhoods where when I ride around the country over the last 10, 15 years, whether it's Trenton, New Jersey, Detroit, Atlanta, uh, uh, Cleveland, parts of Ohio, they will let the bottom fall out and you'll see a name that's on, and this may be commercial property, it might be apartments, and people just do the best. They said the landlord, you know, they renting, and the landlord hadn't even taken care of the plumbing. You know, if a pipe bursts, he just tell them move to the next place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and these people have been doing this for years,
Yeah.
and then they find out when new development comes, and even here in Atlanta, you know, they looking at all this new development. They said, well, we're gonna knock all that down. These folks done sold that property. There was a
Mhm.
guy, I think he bought maybe 250 units for $800,000. And
Yeah.
today they had him in the Constitution. It's valued at something like 13 million. Like you say, he's
Yes,
like,
sir.
okay, kids in private school, a yacht, or yeah,
Yes, sir.
you know,
Just
and
like that.
everybody up there, they had sad faces, but they had to get up out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to be in that position, drummer. You just
Mm,
don't. Like no one wants to be in that position. So the only way to combat that is to own your own property. So you're not in that position. No one can put you out of your own property but you.
mm.
So
Oh,
there's no other way around it. You're at their mercy.
And they don't have no mercy.
whoa, no. You
I'm
know, it
trying to.
reminded me of Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy in that, I forgot the movie. He said, my house. It's my house. Hey, it feels good to maybe say that. You know,
True.
Yes.
It's
you
bad
know, because
sometimes.
Best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
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 But maybe you guys give us some closing tips, some closing nuggets for the audience out there. You know, when we say why you should buy a house, who should buy a house, and when you should buy it, what are some closing nuggets and that you have for the audience out here?
Well, I would say so. To answer your questions, why you should buy a house, because you have to live somewhere anyways. Who should buy a house? You. And how you should buy a house, contact Davis and Davis Real Estate.
I like that. The young one got the message, baby.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's it, drummer. There's I can't stress it enough. Like we just don't let the interest rate scare you. Don't let the news scare
It's
you.
all a trick.
Yes, it's more expensive in certain cities and states. Maybe you need to sacrifice and have someone living with you for a while if you want to be in the higher price markets. But you definitely have to own. You
Yeah.
have to own. So you do not put yourself in a position where you have no say so.
Yeah.
Wow. I like yes. And for everybody that joined us in the chat out there, you know, that's one of the big things. We have to be ready, we have to be prepared
Mhm.
for I mean any and all things. If you hadn't taken the time to get with your family, people in your community, you know, property, America's for sale.
Yep.
America doesn't go around crying. America just sells whatever, this land is up for grabs.
Right.
Yeah. Everything you
And-
see is for sale. No exaggeration. Everything you see is for sale. No
Wow.
doubt about it. Everything has a price in the number.
Mm.
Yeah. Everything is for sale. Mindset. If people just get out the poverty mindset and realize that you deserve to own. Know that you got that right. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like you got to be in a lower position and rent from somebody. You deserve to own. You deserve to have a say-so in your future. Because that's what it's giving you, a say-so in your future before somebody else. Because I promise you, everybody got a plan for your life, but it ain't going to be what you like. That plan ain't going to be what you like. I promise you. As you can see, like, I ain't telling you nothing you don't know. Look at the news. Look at what's going on. All that they try to feed to you, all that stuff. It's all nonsense, but, and I honestly, I can tell you, I sit back and comfort because I know at the end of the day, I have a say so for me and my family. We got choices, that we got options. You know what I mean? Like we really got options. So
Wow.
that's what it's all about. Giving yourself a chance.
Ooh, a fighting chance. Because like you say,
Yeah, giving yourself a chance.
Superman ain't coming. Santa Claus not coming. The Easter Bunny been retired. The Tooth Fairy is not in dropping nothing under the pillow. If you're praying for reparations, they might get it to you.
Right.
But this is a way for restoration. You can restore yourself, your family, and get to the front of the line.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only person that's coming is the landlord on the first. That's
Ooh,
it.
whoa,
Yeah.
ooh.
They'll be there. They'll be there.
Yeah.
Every first of the month, they'll be there.
That's it. Yeah.
Man. Whoa. Well, they're coming, and that ain't the face you want to see.
Nope.
I mean, unless you got a good relationship with them. Now, some people have good relationships with the landlord, as long as they're in there paying, make sure everything going good. But, definitely like to thank you all, your family, and y'all have, showing from the front how to do it. Hats off to you, as a family, putting this thing together, showing, people that it can be done. When you said the situation, going from an apartment to owning multiple homes, not just, like pie in the sky, walking it down, making a couple key sacrifices and, getting a plan of action and sticking to it. And that's one of the things that we share over here. We got a lot of shows coming up. I want to encourage people to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification button over here at Square Mile Media Atlanta. And we thank the Davis family for coming on board tonight. And I hope that you share this with your family, friends, and loved ones. And remember, America is for sale. And whether you get a little piece of it or a big piece of it, we can start with a little piece of it. You can put a family, a group of people, like-minded people together, and you can change your situation today. You say, what? Instead of paying this $1,200 a month for rent, I'm going to put about 4 people in here. We're going to come up in the next 30, 60, 90 days. You got to get some folk that's not going to be putting holes in the boat. You're going to have to put some like-minded folk, but you're going to get some folk focused, and you can make a difference in your family, in your community, and the country at large. Trust me, these things are possible. It says up here, dream, and what do you do? What are you going to do to make your dream come alive? And there's work that has to be done. Nobody's going to come. Superman's not going to be coming. Even God, he's told you, hey, I'm done. You guys, y'all gonna have to put it together. Y'all gonna make it happen. And if you hoping for doom and gloom, and you're hoping that the world going in, the people been hoping for a long time, and the world still continues to turn on. So why you here? Why you down on this little blue planet and you in this country called America, whatever state you in, stay ready. Stay ready. Find a way to be relevant. Find a way to get your piece of the pie. You'll feel better. You'll stay healthier and all those things. So we encourage you to look at options and keep some options for you and your family. If it's a pandemic, or pandemonium, you want to be ready. If it's something that's simple, you just say, well, school voting, anything out there, you need to be ready. Uh, and a lot of it begins with ownership. A lot of times it's difficult if you don't own nothing because you say, I don't have a place to store nothing. I ain't got no voice. But if you got some property, you got some voice. At least they got to come and make you leave. That's why when you see these people, they have to send a marshal to get you up out of there. But if you don't own nothing, they'll still send a marshal, but they'll send them quicker. But with that being said, this is Reginald Drummer, the peopleologist. We thank you for joining us tonight. And remember this, get you a piece of the American dream, apple pie, Chevrolet, and a home. Have a great day.